Hey guys, so I wanted to kind of give a short, it might be short review over Final Fantasy 13 before I moved on. Um, I honestly don't know where to start. I think um, I wrote some stuff down as I was going, and there are a lot more cons than there are pros. So it makes it seem like I didn't enjoy the game. I did enjoy the game. It just, to me, didn't feel like a typical Final Fantasy. And so I wanted to start with the cons. Um, so don't, like, if I say some of these and it feels like I'm just bashing Final Fantasy, that's not the case. I did enjoy the game. I mean, I beat it. I played it all the way through. I will eventually go back and finish all the. I think I had a couple missions left, and a few achievements to complete. I'll do those later, but those will. I don't want to like drag y'all through those because it's more grinding and farming, and I know that can be kind of boring. So I wrote some stuff down. Um, so I guess I'll just go through them. So first thing that I, so I'll never say hate. I don't think I hated anything, but the music to me didn't feel like a normal Final Fantasy. I mean, it did really set the vibe for some of the scenery and areas in the game, which was really cool. And it's just like some of it was weird. Like the ending song was, I mean, if you play it or have played it, you know what I'm talking about. It was very cool to hear something different than all the normal stuff. But just made it feel different, I guess. Um, it also didn't feel like a typical Final Fantasy because I don't. There were no Moogles in it, and I feel like that's a usual occurrence in all Final Fantasies. I could be wrong. There might be some that there's not, but I feel like that's a very typical thing that's in all Final Fantasies. Um, the how do I put this? So usually there are several things that you can do toward the end of the game, even like mid game. Uh, I'm talking like side quest wise. And in 13, I don't remember any side quests except for like the missions. And I'm trying not to give anything away if you haven't played it. But other than the missions, and I really, I really felt like the game was rushed. And the reason I feel that way is because to me, the characters in the game seemed very underdeveloped, if that's the word. I mean, they were super cool at first, like getting to know them. finding out each one of their stories, but they just seem very underdeveloped, and that's not really like Final Fantasy games are all about the characters and stories. Um, and it goes the same with the protagonists too. They were, oh my god, like at first, it was crazy at first. It was a very cool concept. Um, but toward the end, it was just disappointing, in my opinion. Let's see. The and also why it feels to me like the game was rushed was because like even though the scenery was gorgeous and the music almost fit every scene, not or area, but not all the music. It seemed to be lacking something, and I can't quite put my finger on it. It wasn't. It was like it wasn't. Uh, it like lively, I guess the word would be. Like it was very dull, gorgeous but dull, which is, I mean, I don't know. I really can't put my finger on it. Let's see. Um, so the story at first, like the whole plot and everything, was super confusing at first. And I mean, I don't mind being confused or like like a plot twist, stuff like that. But I feel like they could have set some stuff up early instead of like throwing you into the heat of it, like right from the beginning. Because I had no idea what was going on, and I don't like mind that, but I wish things would have became clear sooner. Um, because the way they set it up was your whole all the characters were separated at the beginning, and you kind of got a little bit of information with each character as you played their story and went along with them and others, which was actually I didn't mind like playing separate. That actually kind of set up nicely for the battle system that they introduced this time because you got familiar with all of the roles separately before you kind of like put them all together, which is really cool. It made it um, is like a really long tutorial, I guess. Um, but um, the story is just confusing at first, and you didn't. I mean, you catch on fairly quickly, but it's like several hours into the game, and then uh, so I mean, all Final Fantasies have summons, right? It's it's a staple, you know. Like you're gonna have summons in a Final Fantasy. That's just what you have. And the summonings in 13 were so cool looking, and the fact that they could do two things was very unique. But I think I can't remember, but out of all, I can't remember how long I played. but out of all the hours I spent on the game, I think I only summoned. I could probably count it on one hand, maybe 3, 4 times, which was disappointing to say the least. There was just no need to. It was almost like a hassle to, not like a hassle, more like no benefit, I guess. Is a better word. And on top of that, I I might have used 3 characters the whole game. Not the whole game, but like 85, 90% of the game. Most of the game I used 3 characters. There were a few like missions where I had to try different characters, but it would have been nice to kind of utilize all of the characters, which brings me to the battle system. Um, the battle system, like I loved the concept, the how it felt and played. It was very smooth, but it didn't seem finished. It seemed like they could have done a lot more with that system and made, it more complex. It made like bosses and other missions require certain um, roles and characters. Um, in fact, they probably could have added more roles, which would have been a lot better, in my opinion. That way, the diversity of all of them, they could have made it very, or much more complicated or difficult. So that brings me to my next point, the difficulty in the game. The the whole game felt super easy. Even like I mean there was no hard difficulty, but on the normal difficulty, like the hardest one you could pick at first, everything was so easy. There were a few times where like I had to adjust equipment and characters and stuff, but other than that, it was or like find a new strategy. Other than that, it seemed super simple. And then toward the end, it got really difficult. Like the whole game, I didn't upgrade almost a single, at least the whole story, I didn't upgrade a single thing. And then it felt like all of a sudden I had to upgrade everything and max everything out, and otherwise I wouldn't come close to winning anything. And that that brings me to upgrading. Like Final, I mean, you know how RPGs are. You collect stuff. I mean, I'm a collector. I try not to sell anything in my inventory. And it just felt so weird that that was how you made money. Like you didn't get money from fighting at monsters or missions or anything like that. You randomly found some in chests, but it wasn't much. But having to sell things to make money seemed it didn't sit right with me, I guess. And the upgrading of the weapons and accessories required money and then components, and you really had to sell components in order to get money. And at first, the game made upgrading seem super complicated, super difficult, and I had no idea what to keep, what to sell, so I just didn't upgrade anything. But I think it was toward the end where like I started to have to upgrade stuff. I looked it up. I had to look it up. I didn't know what to do, and I was surprised to find that it was the most simple thing ever. And I could sell most of my inventory, but that is really not what a typical Final Fantasy does. But anyway, those are I didn't like about the game, and I told you it was long. Um, I wanted to get them out the way because I did enjoy the game. I mean, like I said, I completed it. It's not like I was struggling to complete the game. Um, but so what I did enjoy about the game were was even though the game was super linear, the the way that the game was linear, it almost made sense with how they split up the characters and the story. It made sense why the game was linear the way it was, but the fact that you couldn't go back to like recent area or past areas. I think it was like, I don't know, past chapter 9, 10, 11, something like that. You couldn't visit any of the old other places that you've been. And even though like you couldn't do that or it was so linear, it still made a lot of sense why they did that. And that's probably the only reason why I didn't like I wasn't bored or I didn't want to finish the game. Um, and the graphics were awesome. I really liked the graphics. Some of the songs or some of the like soundtrack really created an awesome vibe. And then the characters were so fucking cool at first, pardon my French. So cool, so interesting. But then their development just got shallow. But the character, I'm interested to see what they do in Final Fantasy 2 because the characters are so cool. Um, and then and then arriving at Pulse arriving at the open area for the first time was so exciting. Like that was the first time like I saw like huge map and like things running around that I'd never seen before, and all the like the new missions in the secret areas and chocobos. All that was super exciting at first, and then you realize that that was it. But it was so cool. Like it was so linear, and then all of a sudden, boom, wide open. Um, but oh man, I guess I did cons and pros together almost. My bad. But I mean, that's kind of my review on the game. It was. I mean, I'm glad I played it. I will like probably 100% complete it after I do all of these, but I'm gonna move on to the next game, which is Final Fantasy 13 2. If you are watching, I do appreciate it, and if you ever have any feedback, that would be greatly appreciated as well. What I could improve on or get rid of, whatever. I don't take criticism like that to heart, but um, yeah, I guess I will see you on the next one.